Welcome to the CityCURRENT Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, CityCURRENT CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the CityCURRENT Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love having our CityCURRENT partners come on the show, sharing their expertise. In this case, we're talking about culture, people, teamwork, so much more in this world of HR. That's why we're excited to have with us Nadian Zak, CEO and founder, and Kacie Scott, COO and Co-Founder of Zak Human Solutions. How are you two doing?
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Well, we have a lot to talk about when you talk about teamwork, culture, leadership, HR, all the amazing things that you all do, including entrepreneurship. And so let's start though with a little bit of your background, because Nadian especially, I've known you for a long time. And when you look at your growth and trajectory in entrepreneurship, it's amazing. But give us a little background for each of you on your background, and then we'll dive into all the amazing things you do together as a team.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, Jeremy, I think I've known you, I want to say over 12, I think I met you 12, 13 years ago at this point, which is insane. But a little bit about my background. So I am an HR practitioner. I've been doing HR for over 20 years now. Started really in the world of recruitment, worked up the corporate ladder all the way through a C-level corporate HR role until I delved into the world of entrepreneurship about 3 years ago. So I have been part of startups through Fortune 500 companies and everything in between. So I've had the privilege of serving leadership teams across different and just a multitude of different industries and team members of all levels. And it's just been such a joy.
Kacie, What about you?
So like Nadian, I have a little over a decade of HR experience. My HR experience has been pretty focused in the talent acquisition and talent management side of HR. Just like Nadian, startups to Fortune 500 companies. I started in manufacturing, got into third-party logistics, and then met Nadian, and she took me kind of on the wild ride of healthcare, and then has kind of taken me into the wild ride of entrepreneurship.
So the wild ride will lead us into the business. And so go ahead and dive into what you do. When you talk about Zak Human Solutions, go ahead and give us the elevator pitch, so to speak. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah. So we partner with small to medium-sized businesses on all of their HR needs. And so sometimes that can look like recruitment needs and talent acquisition needs, like Kacie just said, or just your day-to-day like people operations. For example, your employee calls in and they have a PTO request or they have an employee policy question. We are really taking the burden off of leaders, and we are the go-to HR team for these companies. A lot of the times, the businesses that we serve do not have a dedicated full-time HR team member, or if they do, they're very small. So we come in and really complement or supplement and serve in as that team, so that you don't have to invest in a full-time resource if you don't have to.
What are the things that you're looking at, the questions you're asking when you talk about getting a feel for a business's culture? And this is going to lead us into when you talk about finding the right people, the right fits, the right experiences. Talk about the questions you're asking, the things you're looking for to get a feel for, okay, how can we best help this business?
One of my first ones is, where does HR sit on the org chart? That will honestly tell you a lot about really how the founder or the CEO values HR. That's one of the first things I ask.
The second that we would ask is, tell me more about your company core values. So, and if they're really well defined. We also want to know how these values are lived out, how they're operationalized. We can tell pretty quickly if company core values are just words on paper or if they're really lived out on a day-to-day basis. And that's on just how they performance manage, how they hire people, how they fire people, right? A lot of it, we consider company core values as the how to the what. The what is like the business goals and outcomes, but the how is really how you make this all work with the team. And that all has to align to a company core value. So that's another great way for us to really identify, a lot of the culture things that are or are not happening.
I know that you all work in different cities, so you look at Nashville, Memphis as two easy examples. When you look at the trends around the workforce and finding the right people to fit those positions, a lot of it obviously is having deep relationships and referrals and, the things that you all have. But talk about what you see right now. Is it super competitive? Is it easy to find the right people? Like, talk about kind of the people side of finding the right people for the businesses and kind of where things are right now in terms of a trend.
Yeah, it is a super competitive market. Now, it is going to depend, obviously, industry to industry, but very, very competitive. I think the last numbers that came out of March were there was just a tad bit of a labor shortage in the state of Tennessee.
When you look at what that means in terms of working with the businesses to have very clear pathways, like this is what it's going to take to find the best people, to retain the best people. Talk about some of those strategies and tips that you really help with the businesses on making sure that they've got a robust recruitment strategy and retention strategy.
I'll start with the recruitment side and kind of pass it off to Nadian for the retention side. On the recruitment side, a lot of our work is around getting really clear on what roles do the business need. What role does the business need today? And what role does the business need 6 months, 12 months from now? Getting very clear on that. And then making sure that our entire recruiting process is surrounded by the mission, the vision, and the values. We want to find someone that's really aligned with those things. That's what's going to keep top talent at your organization long past that 30-day honeymoon phase.
And on the retention side, there are so many things that CEOs and leaders could be doing to keep and retain their top talent. One of the things that we see over and over again is that there's no such thing as over communicating at a company level. Communication, over communication, and transparency is everything. Make sure that you are bringing your people along for the journey. People really appreciate communication. And when communication is not had, then people really make up their own narratives, right? So it's really getting ahead of communication in the way of maybe it's a weekly huddle, maybe it's a bi-weekly all hands, but business updates and ensuring that your team members understand how their day-to-day work impacts the broader strategic outcomes of the company and goals out of the company. People want that connection. So it's our jobs as leaders to make sure that the connection is happening, and not just once a year, but consistently and constantly. I also think that there's so much power in the spirit of communication of having one-on-ones with team members. One-on-ones are such a powerful tool, and I think an underrated one where, it's where the leader is checking in with their team member, not just on status on projects, but how are they doing? Let's do a wellness check. How are you doing personally? How are you doing? Yes, professionally, but I want to make sure that you know that I care about you as a person, right? So I think one-on-ones, I think communication, I think business updates, and really knowing your talent and what drives them. So A players always want to ensure that they're growing somehow. And that does not mean a promotion necessarily. I think there's a big misconception that growth equals a promotion to the next, to the next title and more compensation. It could mean that, but a lot of the times it's I want to be stretched. What are some cross-functional projects that I can be a part of? It's very impact related. And again, just ensuring that you're staying very close to the pulse of what drives your A players is super important from a retention strategy. Continue to get to know them, and what drives them personally and professionally is key from a retention standpoint.
Yeah, great advice. Super helpful. Carry that into for you two as business owners, as executives. When you look at what's the mindset, the challenges, what are the challenges and the opportunities that other CEOs and entrepreneurs and business leaders are seeing? How do you frame what's going on right now, the trends around the challenges and opportunities that other CEOs and yourself are facing, but also the opportunities ahead with that?
I think the biggest one is right now, top of mind for a lot of CEOs that we support is AI and the integration of AI to just different job functions and roles. Like a lot of the CEOs that we support are, how can we be more efficient? How can we automate? How can we workflow this? And so that's a big, I think, challenge for sure. The challenge is more so from a personnel adoption standpoint. So we're talking like having very thorough change management plans where your people understand, why is AI integration important? Why is it happening now? What is expected? How are we going to do this? And just again, I go back to let's bring everyone back in the journey, right? Let's gain their buy-in, and you gain buy-in by helping them understand how it's going to make everyone's lives better. So I think one is AI integration, something that we're all trying to not just like learn because it's evolving so fast, but integrate in our day-to-day lives. And I'll let Kacie talk a little bit more how we are integrating AI in our business. So Kacie, passing it on to you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the change management and a lot of the conversation around this to our teams is we're not bringing AI in to replace you. We're bringing AI in to empower you and to make you move faster. And I think I feel like that's a lot of the sticking point for people is, well, I don't want this to replace me. No, we want it to empower you. From our business, specifically in recruiting, that's exactly how we're using it with our recruiters and our recruiting team. We're not replacing recruiters with AI. We're making them go 10 times faster and be 10 times more efficient. So things like scheduling, which, typically with recruiters, it takes, 10 times sometimes back and forth to get a candidate on your calendar. So scheduling, that initial screening, how can we pre-screen using AI to make sure that someone is thoroughly qualified before we're, spending that time face-to-face, letting technology source for us. So recruiters, historically, we're spending hours going through hundreds of applications. Who are the top 10 people I should reach out to? There are some amazing tools out there that will do that for recruiters now, and we're leveraging it, and we've had an amazing experience.
Yeah.
It gives us and our recruiters the time back to spend really meaningful time with these candidates, get to know them, give them that world-class experience.
Give me maybe one or two tips for job seekers. What can they do to be more helpful, to be more impactful, to help, you position them in the best way, but to stand out?
I think to stand out, it's all going to start with your resume, especially if recruiters and organizations are using AI to source. Make sure that you're using the correct keywords in your resume. That's how AI is going to put you really at the top and flag you as a top candidate. Read through the job description, study the job description, make sure there are matching words, make sure job titles are matching. It's going to create, AI will see you as a top candidate.
Carry that into some of your goals. When you look at, Zak Human Solutions and your goals, you all have done phenomenal in terms of engagement and building the business. What are some of your goals for 2025 and beyond?
So some of our goals are thankfully already happening. So for one, we had a goal to expand to just serving multi-state. And right now, we are serving clients quite literally from New York all the way to Hawaii, which is insane. We have a team member that's based in Hawaii. And so for us, it's more about, okay, let's continue to grow and expand and touch and impact as many businesses as we can nationally. Which brings me to another goal of ours that we're in the process of really launching. We just launched our first international client. and they're based in Berlin, Germany, which has been amazing. So for us, it's more about impacting as many companies as we can, really internationally at this point. So again, we serve small to medium-sized businesses, and the way my philosophy is, you know what, HR is no longer a nice to have. It's no longer, it is a needs to have. Your people and your culture, they're the cornerstone of any business, whether big or small. And the impact that we want to have in helping to restore workplace cultures and helping CEOs retain their A players, that will always be a need. So for us, it's more about the impact and serving as many companies as we can.
As women entrepreneurs, as women business owners, give me one, bit of advice for especially women who are aspiring to launch their own businesses, or just something that you've learned as a business owner. So switching over to now, from the HR, the recruitment side to literally running the business, what's something a lesson you've learned? So what's a lesson you've learned or advice you would give to a fellow entrepreneur?
I mean, for me, a hard lesson was you don't have to do and know how to do all the things. I mean, don't be afraid to delegate. Don't be afraid to outsource. You don't have to know how to do every single thing when you're running a business, and that's okay.
Yeah. And for me, so the way we started this business was kind of like one toe in, one toe out. So we started with putting out it started as a side hustle. So you don't have to go from 0 to 100, leave your full-time corporate job to, oh, by the way, I'm becoming an entrepreneur the next day, right? We have families, we have children, and that's just a risk that we just simply couldn't take all that quickly. So for us, we almost grew into it. We started it as a side hustle, and then the side hustle, it came to a head when we're like, okay, we either have to go all in or not, right? So we did still face that decision, but it didn't have to be so risky. So to me, it's you don't have to have this bang up start. You can start slowly.
Yeah, great advice. Carry that into then where we can go to carry this conversation forward. So for businesses that say, hey, this sounds exciting, where do we go? Website, social media, where do we go?
Yeah, so please go on our website. So we're at Zak, and that's ZAK, humansolutions.com. And we are also on LinkedIn. So Zak Human Solutions, you'll find us there. We're pretty active on LinkedIn.
That makes it easy. So ZakHumanSolutions.com, ZAK HumanSolutions.com. Nadian and Kacie, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for your CityCURRENT partnership, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the CityCURRENT Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.